So a battleship was moved into the backyards of the Philadelphia Navy Yard in the area which is, at that time, was for classified work, classified efforts. Tesla went to work, of course, to prepare the equipment for that. And, of course, he was backed up by the people at the Institute. I mean, he was not working alone. He had John von Neumann working. He had Einstein there as a consultant and other people who became involved, including a man by the name of T. Townsend Brown, who was a Navy man in the reserves. He had a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I'm not going to go into his whole history. But in 1938, he was pulled out of the Navy Reserves into a full-time commission and then assigned to a number of projects. But one of them he was involved with the Philadelphia experiment. He contributed a lot of work in terms of the RF systems, particularly the antenna system, which was used to create the electric field. And that was one of his contributions to the experiment. He perhaps is better known for the fact that he worked on the degaussing systems, and he developed the degaussing systems for the German magnetic mines. In the early stages of that, they used to wrap cables around the entire ship, create a pulsed magnetic field strong enough so that if a magnetic mine was near the ship, they would, at a safe distance, would be exploded. Not too near the ship, obviously. The magnetic mine worked not by contact of a probe, but by the proximity of a large mass of iron or steel, which of course all the ships were then. Today there's a lot of aluminum, the hulls of the smaller ships. It would detect the mass of metal, it would change the magnetic flux of a magnetic system inside the mine, trip it, and of course would explode, and theoretically would blow the ship apart without any physical contact with the ship. That system, of course, the Germans developed about 1938. T. Townsend Brown found the remedy, if you will, for it. And that was one of the things he did. And it did bear some relationship to what came later in the Philadelphia experiment. Some people, such as John J. O'Neill, thought it was nothing but an extension of T. Townsend Brown's work on the magnetic mines. It was not. There was similar technology involved, but only a small part of it. When this battleship arrived in the harbor and then up into the Philadelphia Navy Yard in January of 1940 approximately, it was perhaps a little earlier than that, but in any case, at that time, Duncan and myself were tapped on the shoulder by the brass, if you will, in the Navy and said, "You're in the Navy as officers. It's time you found out what the Navy's really all about." Because up to that point, we'd had very little contact with the Navy. It was almost entirely working at the Institute.